Good evening. We're going to talk tonight about living on purpose. This is from Swami Rama, and it'll be in two parts, part tonight and part tomorrow. Living on purpose. Fear is removed and life is enjoyed only when there is a purpose in life. We need to ask ourselves if life has a purpose. What is the meaning of life? Usually, we begin asking this question when we have experienced a great deal of pain after suffering the loss of property or relationships. We've seen the emptiness in getting more material wealth or fame or power. We've seen how fleeting the pleasures of those are. We've begun to say, if wealth, fame, and power do not give happiness, then what does? Out of our pain, we begin to suspect there is something more to life, that life is not limited to what our senses experience. We may only suspect. Our knowledge of anything beyond the world of forms, that which we see and hear, and so on, still may be barely a whisper deep within us, but the possibility is worth the exploration. The exploration begins by establishing the philosophy that there may be something more to life. That philosophy at least gives a direction. With a philosophy of life takes on more meaning and immediately begins to take a different shape. The intention to learn more provides focus, and focus gathers energy. There is joy in that alone. High. With only the vaguest of goals and our motivation still only a whisper, we begin to see the objects and relationships in our lives differently. They are no longer the center of our lives. The pain inherent in the loss of them or in the fear of loss of them is not so intense. Having such a philosophy that suggests a greater meaning than owning and keeping changes life's atmosphere. A sense of freedom grows. Gradually we begin to detect that it is not owning and keeping the things of the world that matters, but something else, perhaps giving and letting go. Nice idea. Yet these thoughts remain only faint sounds within us, especially since we have heard all our lives so loudly and distinctly that acquiring possessions and wealth and power and having sensory pleasures are topmost in priority for a good life. Nonetheless, the faint inner sounds continue. A second step is to reorganize one's life. As with all great transitions of mind and changes of old habits, the second step is done gradually, as personal capacity allows and grows. For instance, as the shift is made from a philosophy of acquiring objects to one of a greater purpose, our needs diminish. Materially, life becomes simpler and less burdensome. Following a philosophy that life may have greater meaning, we begin to see that we don't need relationships with others in the same ways. We don't need others to give us something. We don't depend on relationships for what we can get from them. We can be more free in our relationships, and the emphasis changes from needing and taking in a relationship, whether marital, parental, filial, or any other, to giving. Emotionally, life becomes lighter. This philosophy and reorganization usually mean our lifestyles become less opulent and require fewer distractions. More is given away, less is needed. concerns for health change. Ironically, it seems to be those who are most afraid of dying who do the most to hasten the process by eating rich, heavy foods, ingesting too much alcohol, and smoking. Their fear of death draws them to the sensory pleasures that bring death about more quickly. With a philosophy that says there is more to life, we naturally shift to a healthier diet and more exercise. Other changes also come about as we expand from the narrow viewpoint that the priorities in life are material and sensory wealth to a greater view of life with spiritual purpose. Then not only do we change in lifestyle habits and relationships, but we see the world differently. If we no longer think we were dropped somehow by accident onto this planet to get all we can, then we see that it is also true of all other people. If we are here for a greater purpose, then so are all other billions of plus inhabitants of the planet. Our sense of community changes. Our family grows. We realize we are part of a global community, all brothers and sisters on a long journey, though on different paths. No longer can we do work that might harm other people or harm the world in which we all live. If we have jobs that pollute the environment or create difficulties for other people, we will feel obliged to find other work. At the same time, we no longer feel threatened by the differences in other people. If all the billions of people on the planet are here for a higher spiritual purpose, then the differences in race, color, and beliefs are ultimately superficial. These differences, along with everything else happening on the planet, are serving the higher spiritual purpose. Race, color, and creed are part of the different paths toward the same goal. The fear that these varieties of race, color, and creed once held, that somehow people who were different were a threat to what is owned, disappear. Hello. In Eastern philosophy, this wide-angle reorganization of a person's life is called dharma. One sense of the word dharma means to organize one's life in such a way that individual action is in harmony with interpersonal relationships and with the community, local and global. It implies morality, righteousness, and virtue. A life that is led with unselfishness, harmlessness, compassion, non-possessiveness, and non-covetousness in personal relationships and toward the greater global community and Earth itself is a spiritually healthy life. However, if a person is selfish, harms others, brings harm in some way to the community, and feels a sense of possession of the things and people, such a person's life is contracted and spiritual progress is hindered. Another interpretation of dharma is the notion of destiny. Dharma is a person's duty in life. Put another way, dharma is the path a person takes to best use this life to most effectively reach the goal of life. Okay, we'll stop there, and then tomorrow we'll continue with dharma in this section from Swami Rama on living on purpose. So it's enjoyable stuff, isn't it? It's a nice way to end a day, I think, to have some quiet reflection like that. Thank you for joining in, and have a wonderful, wonderful next meditation. Either starting the day or ending the day. We're ending the day. We've just had a nice evening walk out in the hot, humid August air, but it was good to get out. Nice to be out. Thunder in the distance, but we did not get rained on. So, thank you for playing. And remember, always remember, it's very convenient to remember and live the one thing that it's all about, which is Om. Om Tat Sat. Om, that is what's happening. That is reality. You know, you get tired of me saying that, huh? Om Tat Sat. Walking is great. Indeed, it is a wonderful thing to do. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Tat Sat. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful day. And especially a wonderful next meditation. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you for visiting. See you later.